Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. Take something away by force or without the consent of the owner. The burglars robbed him of all his money. Outer coat of especially sheep and yaks. Shear the wool from. Tanned skin of a sheep with the fleece left on, used for clothing. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. A soft bulky fabric with deep pile, used chiefly for clothing. The wool of a sheep or similar animal. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. Raise the price of something after agreeing on a lower price. Anything that serves as an enticement. Make off with belongings of others. Approach with an offer of sexual favors. Take by theft. A golf shot that curves to the left for a right-handed golfer. He took lessons to cure his hooking. A sharp curve or crook, a shape resembling a hook. To cause, someone or oneself, to become dependent on something, especially a narcotic drug. A mechanical device that is curved or bent to suspend or hold or pull something. Make a piece of needlework by interlocking and looping thread with a hooked needle. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. Entice and trap. A basketball shot made over the head with the hand that is farther from the basket. A catch for locking a door. A curved or bent implement for suspending or pulling something. A short swinging punch delivered from the side with the elbow bent. Catch with a hook. Hook a fish. Fasten with a hook. Hit a ball and put a spin on it so that it travels to the left. Hit with a hook. His opponent hooked him badly. Secure with the foot. Hook the ball. Place too much a load on. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. A price that is too high. Strip of feathers. Pluck the capon. Pull lightly but sharply with a plucking motion. He plucked the strings of his mandolin. Look for and gather. Sell something to or obtain something from by energetic and especially underhanded activity. The trait of showing courage and determination in spite of possible loss or injury. Pull or pull out sharply. Pluck the flowers off the bush. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. The act of pulling and releasing a taut cord. Clean with one's bill. Dress or groom with elaborate care. The light horny waterproof structure forming the external covering of birds. Be proud of. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. A feather or cluster of feathers worn as an ornament. Anything that resembles a feather in shape or lightness. A plume of smoke. Deck with a plume. A plumed helmet. Form a plume. Make drunk, with alcoholic drinks. Leave as a guarantee in return for money. Washing something by allowing it to soak. Become drunk or drink excessively. Cover with liquid. Pour liquid onto. The process of becoming softened and saturated as a consequence of being immersed in water, or other liquid. A good soak put life back in the wagon. Fill, soak, or imbue totally. Soak the bandage with disinfectant. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. Beat severely. Heat a metal prior to working it. Submerge in a liquid. I soaked in the hot tub for an hour. Place too much a load on. Rip off. Ask an unreasonable price. An additional charge, as for items previously omitted or as a penalty for failure to exercise common caution or common skill. Charge an extra fee, as for a special service. Fill to an excessive degree. The air was surcharged with tension. Fill to capacity with people. The air raids had surcharged the emergency wards. Print a new denomination on a stamp or a banknote. Show an omission in an account, for which credit ought to have been given. Weedy annual, native to Europe but widely distributed as a weed, especially in wheat. Engage in deceitful behavior. Practice trickery or fraud. Weedy annual grass often occurs in grain fields and other cultivated land. Seeds sometimes considered poisonous. Deprive somebody of something by deceit. We were cheated by their clever sounding scheme. Defeat someone through trickery or deceit. Someone who leads you to believe something that is not true. Be sexually unfaithful to one's partner in marriage. She cheats on her husband. The act of swindling by some fraudulent scheme. A deception for profit to yourself. Deprive somebody of something by deceit. Remove by pulling or ripping violently and forcefully. Take without the owner's consent. Engage in deceitful behavior. Practice trickery or fraud. Who's chiseling on the side? Deprive somebody of something by deceit. They chiseled me out of my money. An edge tool with a flat steel blade with a cutting edge. Carve with a chisel. Chisel the marble. Move stealthily. Take without the owner's consent. An advantageous purchase. A stolen base. An instance in which a base runner advances safely during the delivery of a pitch, without the help of a hit or walk or passed ball or wild pitch. Steal a base. A dissolute man in fashionable society. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. There was a rip in his pants. Take without the owner's consent. A stretch of turbulent water in a river or the sea caused by one current flowing into or across another current. The act of rending or ripping or splitting something. He gave the envelope a vigorous rip. Tear or be torn violently. The curtain ripped from top to bottom. Criticize or abuse strongly and violently. The candidate ripped into his opponent mercilessly. Cut, wood, along the grain. Move precipitously or violently. The tornado ripped along the coast. Twist and press out of shape. A twisting squeeze. Gave the wet cloth a wring. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. Twist and compress, as if in pain or anguish. Twist, squeeze, or compress in order to extract liquid. Wring the towels. Get or cause to become in a difficult or laborious manner. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. They extorted money from the executive by threatening to reveal his past to the company boss. Obtain through intimidation. Make a groove in. Force with the thumb. Gouge out his eyes. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. An impression in a surface, as made by a blow. An edge tool with a blade like a trough for cutting channels or grooves. The act of gouging. An instrument of torture that stretches or disjoints or mutilates victims. Torment emotionally or mentally. A support for displaying various articles. The newspapers were arranged on a rack. Go at a rack. A rapid gait of a horse in which each foot strikes the ground separately. The destruction or collapse of something. Rack and ruin. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. Run before a gale. A form of torture in which pain is inflicted by stretching the body. Draw off from the lees. Rack wine. Fly in high wind. Framework for holding objects. Put on a rack and pinion. Rack a camera. Rib section of a forequarter of veal or pork or especially lamb or mutton. Seize together, as of parallel ropes of a tackle in order to prevent running through the block. Stretch to the limits. Rack one's brains. Torture on the rack. Work on a rack. Rack leather. To compress with violence, out of natural shape or condition. Squeeze a lemon. An aggressive attempt to compel acquiescence by the concentration or manipulation of power. To cause to do through pressure or necessity, by physical, moral or intellectual means. He squeezed her for information. A twisting squeeze. A state in which there is a short supply of cash to lend to businesses and consumers and interest rates are high. A tight or amorous embrace. Squeeze like a wedge into a tight space. I squeezed myself into the corner. Squeeze or press together. The act of gripping and pressing firmly. He gave her cheek a playful squeeze. Hold someone tightly in your arms, usually with fondness. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. They squeezed money from the owner of the business by threatening him. Press or force. Squeeze tightly between the fingers. She squeezed the bottle. A situation in which increased costs cannot be passed on to the customer. Increased expenses put a squeeze on profits. Press firmly. He squeezed my hand. Slang. A person's girlfriend or boyfriend. She was his main squeeze. The act of forcing yourself, or being forced, into or through a restricted space. Getting through that small opening was a tight squeeze. the quantity of a crop that is harvested. He sent the first picking of berries to the market. The person or thing chosen or selected. He was my pick for mayor. A heavy iron tool with a wooden handle and a curved head that is pointed on both ends. They used picks and sledges to break the rocks. Pull lightly but sharply with a plucking motion. Pay for something. Pick up the tab. Look for and gather. Pick mushrooms. The act of choosing or selecting. You can take your pick. The best people or things in a group. Harass with constant criticism. Don't always pick on your little brother. Eat intermittently. Take small bites of. Remove unwanted substances from, such as feathers or pits. A small thin device, of metal or plastic or ivory, used to pluck a stringed instrument. The yarn woven across the warp yarn in weaving. Attack with or as if with a pickaxe of ice or rocky ground, for example. Hit lightly with a picking motion. A basketball maneuver. Obstructing an opponent with one's body. He was called for setting an illegal pick. A thin sharp implement used for removing unwanted material. He used a pick to clean the dirt out of the cracks. Pilfer or rob. Pickpockets. Provoke. Pick a fight or a quarrel. Remove in small bits. Pick meat from a bone. Select carefully from a group. She finally picked her successor. Be the physical support of, carry the weight of. Resist or confront with resistance. Cause to be slowed down or delayed. Rob at gunpoint or by means of some other threat. Continue to live and avoid dying. Resist or withstand wear, criticism, etc. Her shoes won't hold up. Hold up something as an example. Hold up one's achievements for admiration. Rob at gunpoint or by means of some other threat. Defend against attack or criticism.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.